Hey gang, Joyce with Skipping Calves Farms. Been busy all day. It's getting cloudy, getting cool, getting cold, getting late. Um, but was able to set up all the fencing that I wanted to do. I just need to put into. I'll do this right now while I'm thinking about it. I'm just gonna take these two blue step-ins over here. Actually, I was using them for pushing the straps through. Put those straps in. I couldn't reach all the way across. I just reached down and used one of the step-ins. It worked great. I tell you what, if you've watched the earlier video I did months ago, I can't remember if it was September, October, about 303 Aero Space Protectant. I can still feel the difference in the surface on these, and it's almost the 1st of February. I can still feel that coating. They still slide in and out easier, and one of the things I really like about that aerospace protectant is it's got, I think it's 40 SPF sunblock on it. So what does that mean? That means that the normal amount of sun that these would be reacting with in one day, it now takes 40 days for them to get the same amount of solar radiation damage, which I think is pretty cool. I'm just putting these here for now. What I will be doing is I'll be doing probably just a half twist on this. I'll just take this, pick it up, turn it in half twist. That'll keep that line tight. And then those are both cold gate handles. So I'll just walk them back, and wherever I run out of space on the line, that's where I'll put my step in. And then you can tweak that. So like if you're coming in, let me see if I can do this here. So if you come in on, say, the 5 hook, which is what I use for a single line, I use 4 and 6 for a double. But if I come in and do a 5 line, and say for example I've got one of those cold hooks, and so I know I'm going to need a little bit more line, then I'll run this down. So I'll hook it on 5 like it's coming in, and then I'll pull it down to maybe 3 or even 2, and hook the back of the gate handle on that. And then when it comes through, it'll pull through here, and then that'll give you about 12 inches of spare, so it won't so it'll reach. I miscalculated that a few inches, and it pulled it real tight, but it still worked. So that way you're not walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth quite as much. The half turn is a trick I learned from Greg Judy. I don't use it nearly as much as he does, because he'll have a 1/4 of a mile of a straight run, right? Well, if you've got a 1/4 of a mile of a straight run, it's going to sag over time. So you just pick it up and give it a half twist, and you're good to go. When you're doing a lot of small things like this, and you're doing paddocks, and then you're starting and stopping, or you're doing a corner, I do a lot more of what I call the shoelace method. And I use the mini reels. He uses the big, heavy geared reels because his context is different. And so what I've done part of this afternoon, in addition to taking care of the birds, I've gone ahead, and if you saw that roll of hay earlier today, it was a lot bigger. And it was over here. I rolled it uphill, actually. Did that on purpose, but that's where it was sitting. And you'll see I've got that little electric weed eater. Well, what I was able to do is, I mentioned it before, take the weed eater with the string so it's going like this, vertically, and punch it down and go real slow, and it'll cut through that whole rolled layer. And then you can just peel it back and pull it off. And so it's the rolled hay equivalent of a flake. Flakes are something I know something about. Mama is a love muffin, but she's a flake. You got grass in the hair in your ear, just like you had that stick a while back. Goodness gracious, Mama. You're almost as bad a dresser as I am. But she's such a sweetheart. Yeah, she's such a sweetheart. Look at that. But, so, this morning I set up the wind barrier and the snow shade that's coming in a couple of days. Mom likes to try and rub against that open door, and she doesn't realize that she's not going to get much purchase on it. But if you'll notice, I put the step in, I put the pigtail, so it went in the ground on one side and came out the other. Why? So it would stay in place, because I know she's going to rub against it. So I put a bunch of this hay down. I put it real thick over here in the corner. And the rest of it's just kind of loose and foo-fooed around. So we're going to be here for the duration of the bad weather, which is probably going to be another 7 to 10 days. So wanted to try and keep things as dry and as comfortable for them as possible. I'll continue to use this hay until it's gone. And then I've got a brand new roll of hay. Well, you can't see it from here, but it's on the other side of that semi next to the greenhouse. So it's still got the netting on it. I've got a tarp over the top. I bought it with the idea of using it for feed. It's a little stemmy and mature. It was what was available, so this is our first graze across my property this winter. So I'm going to give them access to this paddock. We've been on part of it. Let's see, what's today? Today's Friday? Today's Friday. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Then we'll also be in this paddock on Saturday. Saturday night, Sunday morning is when we're supposed to have the temperatures drop below freezing, and we're supposed to get like 4 inches of snow overnight. So at that point in time, I'll be letting the sheep go in and out this door, because you can make a door out of all sides of the sheepfold. This one panel is the only one that doesn't have a T-post attached to it, because it's the only panel that has hooks on both ends. That's another reason why on both sides, one I opened inward, one I opened outward to keep the 90 degree, to keep it most stable. And then the pigtails on both of them are staying in. So, but once the weather hits, They will not have access to that door because they've had access to that alleyway for the better part of 5 days off and on. So it's not good clean grazing, but it's grazing that they like. There's where daughter is grazing over there. There's what you kind of see is a little bit dark. I don't know if I can zoom in on that. Whoops. Oh, I guess it's got in a small mode. Let me put you on pause and let me see if I can zoom that back out. Well, gang, I apologize. I didn't realize you weren't on 1x, you were on 0.5, so it's kind of a zoom out instead of a zoom in, and I didn't quite realize that, and it's not going to let me go out of that. I have to stop the video to go out of that. And so this video has been going long enough as it is, but so they'll be on this paddock for another day, possibly more. I'm not going to let them go back over here unless I need to. If I need to, I'm going to kind of keep it in reserve. That water tank that's there, the sheep will have access to it from either side of that fence. So whether they're over here in the alleyway or they're down here in this main paddock, it doesn't matter. And down by the truck box by the main gate, I've got a 40-pound bucket of protein bucket, molasses and stuff. So I've got that as a supplement if they need it. It's out there, it's moved. It's a heavy load for me. I mean, most of you guys probably are like, you're such a wimp. Well, yes, I am, and I'm an old woman, so I'm entitled to be a wimp. So I had thought about putting it over here by the water tank. Decided to leave it over there by the main gate, principally because I wanted it away from the sheepfold, because I wanted an easy way to control the amount of access they have to it. Because if you've only got 2 sheep and you've got 1 bucket, they're likely to overeat it. So, so I put it over there because it would be easy for me to access it when they're in another part of the paddock and just move it outside the fence. So those are things I try to keep track of and think about. And my hands are starting to freeze and I've got my gloves on, and if you can see that sky, it's not blue and sunny like it was earlier. So we're in for some weather. I think I've got the lion's share of all the work done for both the sheep and the chickens. Now I got to make sure I've got alternatives. So with that, gang, I will wish you blessings for the day, and whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream.